Hello, guys. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings FOMC Special. So, this will go into our FOMC playlist. If you haven't watched my previous FOMC recaps, watch those as well. Today's FOMC was decent. We didn't really, I personally didn't do much, but there was a breakout which alerted my community, and we will talk through that. What happened with FOMC? We'll do a quick analysis. Before I do that, just a quick introduction to anybody who's new to my community, new to my YouTube, or new to our X accounts. All these trade recaps, all these teachings are is anything that I share on Twitter, on X, on previous YouTube videos, or mostly that I share in my community. We trade a repeatable system called Ripster EMA Cloud system that thousands of traders across the world trade use to trade consistently. You can go to ripstereducation.com. You can see thousands of traders. The lives have been changed by my education. You can Google about me, and you will find out that or you can go to YouTube as well, or you can go to our community and see the impact we are having. So, anyways, we trade repeatable system, we trade repeatable setups, we try to find these consistent setups in the market, be it a swing trade, day trade, or any investment. We always have a very defined system. Every morning, me and my team, we create this game plan for the day. As you see, it has a news, it has upgrades, downgrades, earning plays, market plays. The market plays are index stock plays. Those plays are based upon the index, they move with the market. So we have these plays, and then we also have something called day 2, day 3 setup. That's another repeatable strategy that I teach. SRPT was one of the top day 2, day 3 setup. We'll see how that worked out. So that was a good one. And in addition to that, we also provide daily levels to trade futures. With EMA Cloud system, you can trade the futures, and we provide daily levels for the ETFs, the index is and the Mag 7, Magnificent 7. All those you can use them, these levels with EMA Clouds to trade those as well. In addition to that, we also have low floor channel. We provide low floor list, IPO list. We are a one-stop shop, one-stop community for anything, for the traders. We have thousands of traders on our trading floor every day sharing trade ideas with the community. We try to have find the trading opportunities with small. If we lose small, and if we win big. Every morning, I'm on voice first few hours of the market open, guiding the traders through the trades, the setups, the overall market, what we're going to try to do there. And as you can see my timestamp guidance, a lot of my guidance in the voice, so you cannot see that, but I will try to show you how we traded and what was my guidance today in the community. We have 4 or 5 scanners, free scanners in the community, option flow scanners, stock scanners. We have breaking news alerts. We have breaking news audio alerts. We have our tools which are $400-$500 per month, which are free in the community for anybody to use. For example, today there was amazing news that we caught, and we'll talk about that trade as well. That being said, let's start with the recap for the day. All right, let's start with SPY and QQQ. What was the SPY QQQ doing this morning? Let's look here. What was SPY QQQ doing this morning? I was actually trying to trade the QQQs at the amateur moves, which kind of faked me out. We canceled that long. But after that amateur move, the QQQ started to go run. Let's see what happened. Let's go back and see what was going on this morning. What was my guidance? So our plan in the market was simple. Let's go back and look at the plan. The plan was simple that FOMC can be choppy, only long market if VIX breaks 2140. If VIX breaks 2140, then we long the market. So as soon as the market opened, I initially gave the QQQ longs and SPY longs to the market, to the community. But when I didn't see VIX breaking down, I canceled that long. I canceled that long at the open because VIX was not breaking down. Was not breaking down at that. Let's see, at that. Initially, it was not breaking down. It was bouncing up, up, up. But here comes the importance of the amateur move and the trend move, right? The first candle, this first red candle, you see that. That's what the amateur move. And the same, this was the amateur move. The amateur did not give us anything, so we canceled the long. But as soon as VIX started to break out, that was the time to get long back in. A lot of traders did get back long there. Let's see here. and you can see that sudden flush. I tweeted about this, that there's a sudden flush. If that level breaks, the market will move, right? If sudden flush of 20, so again, this is a VIX SPY strategy. The reason I hesitated in the amateur move, because I didn't see the 2140 breakdown. But then suddenly the 2140 on the VIX broke down, and that's when you can get long on the trend move rather and avoiding the amateur move. And a lot of traders did long that move, and that was a nice move from 562 to 565. You can see that I said if VIX fades to 20, the SPY QQQ will go higher. And after that initial push, traders in the community were long a lot of stuff there. If you know they and that's how our community does, right? Everybody knows the systems, knows the setup, and they're already playing that long. Of course, I try to guide, and but they're not waiting on me. They're already executing. You see the traders are long on SPY. They already made profits from the 562s to 565, $3 here. They made profit on a QQQs. The traders were already long these things. If you can see that, so I was showing the wrong ticker earlier. The QQQ was relatively weaker. You see this? This is why I was got a faked out on QQQs, but then it came back and then it went on to run. So that was the initial long trade in the market, and this is how we managed it, how amateur move and the trend move. The plan was pretty simple, that if VIX breaks down that certain level, you get long on the market. But again, today was FOMC, so we do expect a lot of chop here. So you can see that how traders went long on that VIX strategy, right? So this is a SPY VIX strategy that has changed thousands of lives. That's, it's a very repeatable strategy. Everyday traders use this strategy. That you can learn more, watch the previous videos, go to Ripster Education, go to my Twitter. I explain everything. There's a complete tab on Ripster Education that you can learn. So FOMC can be choppy only long over 2140. So once that move was done, then I told traders there can be a chop, right? And usually there is a chop. And yes, there was move down, there was move up, there was move down, then there was move up, then was move down, then FOMC. So this was the range, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down. So that was the chop, right? Yes, advanced scalpers could very well scalp it, up, down, but that's not really what I want. You got this morning long, just take it easy. Now we are going into that range bound action, that it usually wastes our time into the FOMC. All right, so let's talk about FOMC, right? So usually when Powell comes, right, whatever the initial impact is, we do have we have a kind of chop when then market does one thing when Powell starts speaking, and then it does other thing when Powell is done speaking. So anyways, a lot of things Powell said. Overall, what Powell said was economy is doing good, so that market helped that market like that, and Powell said that he was not too concerned about the economy, and 10-year yields were dropping, so that helped the market as well. And he was not too concerned about tariffs. He said there will be impact, it won't be too much. Anyways, you can go to Talent Research and you can read all about that. But what was market doing, right? So initially I was had no plan to do anything. I personally had no plan to do anything. My guidance to the community was to do not do anything, because it's not an A plus, because you can easily get chopped. But then suddenly a few things started to happen. VIX started to break under 20. All right, let's see here. VIX started to break under 20, and SPY and QQQ started to break out, and then that becomes a long. Even though Powell is speaking, you can still long it. As long as you can manage the volatility, you can long this skulls, long here, put your stops under this candle. And I sent an alert that QQQ high of the day breakout. And that was the break. And I already told everyone that if VIX breaks 20, that's a good long, right? It was not a long here. This was a risky chop, risky chop. But yes, you could long that. And you don't have to go crazy size in FOMC, because you do not know what Powell will say, and the thing will come right back down. Right, so you can always trade that. IWM was much better, because it's a rate dependent index, much more rate dependent index. which moves when you say something when it's related to the rates and the FOMC. So anyways, so that was the breakout on the QQQ that you could trade that breakout. And I told everyone that when Powell is done speaking, get out or manage your position. So everything was squeezing when VIX broke 20, pretty straightforward. Just watch when he's done speaking, who are scalping long. And the QQQ went $3 from my breakout alerts, and then as soon as Powell gets stopped speaking, we pulled back. Yes, some traders shorted it, but that was the net move on the market today, right? There was an opportunity to make profits on this breakout. Because it was not clear, the things were a little foggy, like how market would react. But then when he was not too concerned about economy and tariff, market really liked that. But the bigger picture, if you want to look at SPY, what SPY is doing is SPY is getting ready for a reversal. If VIX goes down under 20, you should be ready to take your swing trades back up on SPY, QQQ, IWM. Assuming the tariff, assuming there's nothing too much scary on tariff and Trump doesn't keep saying something more, but looks like so far market is digesting all the tariff news as built in, because there's nothing new he can say. Maybe he can say 100% tariffs, I don't know. But so far market is fine that Powell is fine with the tariffs. And so, let's see what happens tomorrow if we break down under 20 on the VIX. And make sure you keep eyes on the yields. If yields break down tomorrow under 420, then for sure we will be long the market. So make sure you analyze that. Anyways, that was a recap of FOMC. Nothing crazy, like we had some crazy as FOMCs. Today was all right. It was just that one breakout on the market that I showed you. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, so next one, I'm going to go quickly today. I'm not going to go too slow into the place. So let's look at Boeing today. So what was the plan on Boeing, guys? So Boeing was one of the main plays, one of the main news plays. Japan Airlines introduces 17 new Boeings. And also, I think the CEO was on The Voice. He was talking a lot on the news. He was mentioning. So that was Boeing, bullish bias on pullback, and also we provide those levels on the daily sheet. You can see that 162.60, 163, So that was a plan on Boeing. So let's see what happened on Boeing right away. We had a plan, everything was good. As soon as the market opened, I told everybody to long Boeing. The target was 172, 174. So as you see, by 9:32, I said long. Why? Because there was an MTF cloud here that gave me higher conviction. We pushed to our 172 target by 10:20. I gave the target 9:37. We hit the target by 10:20. We actually hit 173. So I told all the traders to lock half of their position. And once we break the 512s, we exited. We did not met our final target that time, but then came the 512 curls, repeatable setups, middle of the day, and then you get back long, and this time almost hit our 174 target. So that was the long, guys. The one setup was in the morning. I didn't take the midday setup, but you could take the midday repeatable 512 setup. This setup will repeat again and again and again and again. That's why we trade repeatable setups. All right, let's look at something else. Let's look at INTC. So INTC was another short trade today in the community. The news on INTC was, here you go on the top. You can see that day 3, short under MTF, long over, no go under 25. That means if it stays under 25, you should not be long. So right at the open, I gave everybody as a short, and I told everyone to short the pops and not short the drops. And right from the 25, it dropped to 24.40. The two targets I gave were 24 and 24.20. And we hit our 24 target initially. Then there was another failure. We've hit a target again as well. Decent 50% move on the 25 puts, maybe more depending on where did you enter. But that was a nice dollar short on INTC today. You can see that how 512 rejected, right? So that's what I told everybody. Short the 512s. Again, if you shorted the pops, you made another 80-70 cents again on INTC. The short setup was again with the Ripster MTF clouds. So it's a cheat code, guys. It's a cheat code. When it doesn't work, you lose a little bit. When it works, it pays you really well. Go to next one. There's another play in the community, STNE. This was right at the open. I told the traders that watch the pullback to trade it long. You see this candle, this pulled back into 1080. And when it pulled back to 1080, so that was the long. And then it pulled back and then I gave the stops at 1070, and you can see this candle started at 1090 and then it pushed to 1145. So you're risking 20-30 cents and you're making what? You're making like 40-50 cents. That's a good trade. And when it broke down 1115 right here, 1120, you got out. So if you go to the smaller time frame, you will see that. So this was again on our watch list because it was an earnings play. It was an earnings play. Let's see here, STNE, bullish bias to long, 11 is the breakout. And once the 11 breakout come, it kind of swiped big at the open. I don't know what happened there, but your entry was this pullback. This is where you enter because you have the clouds under it, so you do not hesitate and you enter that and you make those 40 cents. You risk $500, and you're making $1,500, $2,000. That's a good risk reward. Or if you're making $500, risking $500, let's say you got 1,000 shares at $11 and your stops maybe at 20 cents and you're risking $200, but you're making $400, $500, right? Or you get 10,000 shares depending on account size. So that was the trade, and it was only the morning trade. And you see, when you don't see anything going higher after 10 a.m., usually the move is going to come back. All right, let's look at NVDA today. NVDA was a morning short loser because market became suddenly strong. It was testing MTF, it rejected. I told the traders to short it, but right away it reclaimed, and our stops were at 117, and that's when we told traders to get out and leave it alone. So didn't really work because the market. It's the same time when we canceled our QQQ longs, the same time this happened. And this is the same time when VIX broke down. So you understand why NVIDIA did that. I was personally not a fan of NVIDIA until, of course, when Powell came in. You can see the move from the MTF 1 hour to the MTF 2021 MTF. Amazing system on MTF clouds today. But anyways, NVIDIA was a morning loser. All right, so next one we're going to look at is SRPT. SRPT was our number one day 2, day 3 setup because it sold off yesterday a lot, a lot. I like it for swing as well because there was one death in the patient, but of course there's so many lives they save as well. So very unfortunate death. But there was only one, and the trader, we tried to long it yesterday, doesn't work. Yesterday was a loser for us. It was actually a nice short from this 512 break all the way down to 70. That was an $8 short yesterday, but today I put it as my top day 2 setup. 1 hour MTF resistance 73.75. Once it cleared the 75, it was a long, and then my target was 80, and we hit our 80 target from 75. $5 per share winner there on the day 2 setup. That's why you should focus on these day 2 setups. So next one we're going to look at is Apple. So Apple was again MTF breakout, right? It was an MTF breakout. Apple was an MTF breakout. It was a 1 hour EMA Cloud MTF breakout. You see, it has been failing MTF for a long time. It failed MTF day before yesterday. Chopped our MTF yesterday, and today it broke out of the MTF. Look what I said in the pre-market planning. I said about Apple, no gap, no go under 213, trade the MTF breakout if market strong, right? News was bad, but I said trade the MTF breakout if market strong. So look at that. If you took the Apple long right at the open, while I was focused on Boeing, but a lot of traders did, you made such a $5 per share profit on Apple, guys. This is the power. This is the power, guys. If you bought 1,000 shares, if you bought options, you risk 500, you made like $2,000. You bought 1,000 shares, you made $5,000, guys. This is the power of the system, guys. That's how you will be consistent, because when the MTF setup works, you will make $5. When it didn't work, what did you lose? You lost $2, $1.50, and it worked. You made $5-6. So that's the beauty, guys. That's the beauty of that. You can see that traders calling out Apple traders, all the traders. Krish was on top of it. Sidhu was on top of it. LIG was on top of it. Trader price, like a lot of traders were, because Apple was the MTF breakout. There were some other traders moves as well, but today we were like kind of really focused today because we didn't want to trade too much because of FOMC. But I want to recap this one trade was ADSK. Starboard adds value to begin proxy battle. You see that the stocks that make red, right? Always make a nice move. Always, even if the winner or loser doesn't really matter, but they are the one to focus on. So, anyways, daily swing watch breakout over 264, and you see that we break as soon as it breaks out of 264, it doesn't stop until 271. You see that? Why did I say breakout of 264? Because it was a breakout on the 1 hour chart or the high from 2 days ago, and you see it pushed right into the MTF. So always remember these setups, guys, the breakout setups. So next one we're going to look at is Netflix. Let's see what Netflix was doing here. So Netflix was another, and this was because shout out to the community because Netflix was special MTF cloud trade. Let's call out. Let's look here. So and Netflix, the levels we had were where do we go? Where do we go? Let's find it here. 935, 937, 32, and it was had multiple MTFs there. 1 hour, right? 1 hour, and then there was 50, then there was 20, and shout out to Meh, and he was on top of it right at the morning, and Kobe. Kobe was called it the MTF bounce, and the traders are on top of it. So very proud of that. Special mention on Netflix to the traders in the community who are focusing on the system and look at this move on Netflix. Amazing move. Always watch flow when these kind of moves happen. All right, some other setups in the community which are moving. Let's look at these ones. MSTR, Bitcoin up in the pre-market. I told everyone both of them are MTF long setups. Okay, watch Bitcoin, check the crypto sheet. Another red one that I mentioned, and you can see that what it did, it pushed at the open, gave you a nice long from the MTF clouds. And if you want to see what MSTR did, it did the same thing, but it had crossed the MTF yesterday, but it also pushed, and then of course it pushed with the market. All right, the next one we're going to look at is let's see here. Is just want to talk about CVNA, and I want to talk about CarMax. CVNA was actually in a swing watch. So we got a news alert that Amazon is going into the is going into the used car business. So right away I told traders to short it. I didn't tell them to short a big size because I had to read the news. Then we read the news, we read the article, and then I told them that yes, you can short it. They are pretty serious about it. But the short was right here at the 512, and then we hit 162. I told traders they can add 160 puts with a profit, but that one didn't work. We did get like big flush, like $8 flush on CVNA, and we stopped out once it pushed back over 170, and then it started to squeeze. It started to squeeze a lot of the shorts which were stuck, and this was the MTF breakout on CVNA. You can see that. So you have to be very fast when you play the news. You really have to like respond right away and watch your system. CarMax was a short. Closer to the clouds, when you get the news, better is the news play. Further from the clouds you go, harder and more is the risk on the news play. We did the same thing on Reddit, and today it was on the CarMax and CVNA. If you did it timely, like the traders in the community did, they made really good profits on CVNA. They really did good on CVNA. You can see that, yeah, a lot of traders did really good. Jay took 80%. Anthony got 100%. Krasik got 90%. So it was good. You can see that how good CVNA was. Marco Polo shorted both CVNA and CarMax, and Centauri entered it. So it was beautiful. It was beautiful trade, right? Those kind of news you don't get too much, and when you get those news, you have to be quick. Sid took 100%, and that's our news board, guys. You don't even have to pay outside. Outside, you go to these news services, you'll pay like a couple $100, but It's all in the community. That's why I love my community. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.